Miałeś.
PSY-POD.
Rolling.
Okay. Cue.
3, 2, 1, action.
Hello, once again, to another mediocre episode of the PSY-POD. And, like always, I'm Sangay, joined by the butthead to my Beavis, Kinlepinzo.
I thought I was the butthead.
Shut
Sorry,
up.
I thought I was the Beavis.
You speak when you're spoken to, child. And if this is the first time you're listening to it, this is a podcast about nothing. And today we have our guest. Kinle, would you like me to introduce you, or would you like to introduce yourself?
Or would you like to introduce us?
Yes, what did you like?
You guys should introduce me.
Yes, Kinle, why don't you? Okay, without any further ado, hello everybody! Welcome to PSY-POD number 20! This is Farmer Sangay, the famous man who shouts, hello everybody. How are you doing now? Thank you for joining us.
Good la. Thank you for inviting me here.
How have you been? I did meet you over the weekend, and you were in a slightly more inebriated state when I did, but today you seem a little sober.
Way sober.
Oh, where did that thing, hello everybody, come from? Was it by just Shedabir and the baby, you put it out there and people started copying? Was it like intention to make it certain way and better?
No. So this year I back home and I was just staying all alone in my village, basically, and I was working in the field, and there are some times where I had to send some works to my friends. So I've been doing hello to them, and then that's how it got started. And later I was doing that on social media, and then people started picking up, I think.
Have you seen the videos?
Yeah. Many of them send, even just now I received a couple of them.
They send it to you in
on my page. They send it on my page.
It's kind of, I feel a little stupid, but I am hearing about this hello everybody for the first time.
You didn't know about this hello everybody?
I do not do a lot of Facebook or social media.
No, it seems like the go-to thing to do as soon as you travel to somewhere else. You go to Bumtang or Paro. The first thing they do when they make an Instagram story is hello everybody.
It is, yeah.
People are already doing that
all
the time, right? We say hello, my friend, we do that.
You have the signature.
I have, but for that I really have no idea how the attribute was given to me. I think it's a sort of luck.
Well,
something good.
I prefer hello everybody any day to hi guys.
Yeah.
Hello channel.
Welcome to my channel.
Yeah. No idea right now.
You don't. Do you like the vlogging culture? Do you follow it?
Yeah, I do.
So
very much.
Yeah, that's what I mean. This whole everyone just going hi guys, and it's gotten to a point where now I just call vloggers the hi guys group.
Oh,
because to me, as soon as I open a vlog, the first thing I hear is
saying the same thing.
Hi guys. So I think it's kind of cool that at least you're shouting.
Yeah.
Anybody who's on the headphones
I sometimes would worry if somebody just opened their phone driving and then they will just storm out get some accident or mishaps because of that. Then I would feel very bad for that.
I was. It's kind of funny that you mentioned it because I was at Junction Bookstore once, and a friend of mine sent me this audio clip on Messenger, and then I opened it.
Hello.
It was a porn clip. Loudly like there's sounds of aroused sexual activity going on, and I could see a bunch of kids all turn to me, and I was like shit. And then Mui's like, Kinle, what are you watching? I was like, it's not my fault. So yes, those children were introduced to a lot of new things in that bookstore that day.
Probably they wouldn't even know what that meant.
I don't. They weren't like small kids. They were in their.
So what is the term you put yourself when you describe yourself? Are you a farmer? Are you an entrepreneur?
Are you a Sangay?
Are you a Sangay?
There are two things. Maybe I would generally look at myself as a student of life, someone who aspired to be constantly trying to pursue being a better human being. But my friends and people around who knows me call me by the name farmer. And I think it's because of my occupation and lifestyle. But I have no issue, like people can call me whatever.
Yes. All right. So, what is your line of work? You farm, just specifically farming something now?
In the last 10 years, but I studied farming. I studied agriculture.
Okay.
That's why farming is also my profession. For last 10 years, after I resigned from my service at Ministry of Agriculture, I've been doing farming constantly. But in between, I was also working on some value chain into like potato, on some crops, some other fruit crops and all. And I did engage myself into entrepreneurial sort of a venture as well. But at the end, I prefer to be a farmer. That's what I love to actually streamline myself into.
So you like to personally get into the farm and do all the dirty work?
Yeah.
I tried doing that. Not for me.
Remember, lockdown, I don't do much household work, but during lockdown, I was at home with my sister. Then we had to to make the soil for potato cultivation. Wow, that's a really hard workout, because the 2 days I couldn't feel. It really hits your hamstring and your back. So then I just realized how much effort it takes. Literally going down to the gardens and going for it. Yeah, I almost been now really like master of that now by now.
Partly maybe, but it's like this. When we were first sent to school and when kids started reading texts, would feel that it's impossible, right? And would try to imitate or try to learn in next few days. But the beginning is always like that. It's something very uncertain. It's something we feel is difficult. But farming isn't really difficult actually. But maybe there are a lot of stereotypes that hasn't really been favoring this profession. Thing like dirt is nothing dirty, right? Dirt is earth, it's a soil, right? And when somebody asks me so you had to do the work in dirt, it's totally okay in my subconscious, right? Because I've been introduced to this long time back. So yeah, I think it's okay. Everybody has to do something in their life, and I happen to do this.
It's interesting that you bring up the stereotype, because I think now it's kind of because I recently went to Pema, which is why I missed that episode where Jamyang and you guys were doing it. But when I was there, it's kind of sad, because Pema still does have a lot of farms, but you don't see a lot of people engaging in farming anymore. Now Pema sort of, this is personally from what I've been observing, what I observed there, is that there's lots of farmland there, okay? But you don't see anyone in the fields anymore. Now everyone's started doing other things, and there's less of farm work going on. Maybe there are 1 or 2 people who are trying different kinds of crops. There are people, avocado is really big right now. A lot of people doing avocado. Pema obviously has its oranges as well. But then a lot of people are now sort of moved away from the, forget the urban areas. Most of the rural parts are slowly moving away from the farming thing as well there, which is quite sad to see, I suppose, because then we sort of start losing connection with where we initially started from.
Gasa.
I'm from Gasa actually.
So Gasa, did you grow up farming as a?
Yeah. So I grew up in village and I saw basketball and this TV around when I was around 14, 15 actually.
Oh, so 14, secluded.
Yeah. And then much before that, I was nature was my kind of a space to go for self-discovery. Just like we have now, we can buy Play-Doh from the store. We need to just go into the field and then get some mud to play with. It's pretty much the same thing, but the context is very different. It's something that we find it in nature. Yeah. So also because of that connection, my subconscious was much more inclined towards doing something to do with the elements of nature, like the soil, the light, the water, I believe. Yeah.
So you're a man of the earth, quite literally.
Quite very philosophical. I think you're into that kind of stuff as well.
Yeah, one time I even asked myself for a very long time, am I a farmer or a philosopher? Then only later I learned most farmers may be a philosopher because they are looking into nature, right? They are examining nature rather than often reading books. So it makes them like the knowledge is being a part of a life evolution itself. That is how I
see the world in the life.
I should give this farming thing a try myself.
Farming thing, yeah.
But the thing is, like, when I do try, when I was a kid, I tried to do it a lot. Like, I love, like, you know, taking the, what do you call that? The hoe? It's called the hoe. Yes. So is your girlfriend. Okay. So my mom and dad would never let me touch, like, tools because they were always scared because of my eyes. I would, like,
Stab yourself in the eye. Yes.
That. But a lot of the times, like, I would want to do it, but my parents just wouldn't let me. And I don't blame them also, because I'm sure being first, like, you know, having to deal with it, because not to prove them wrong, I did once jab my koti into a friend's hand while we were digging in school.
So they were right there.
So yeah, and I just like right into his hand, and he was like, they took my koti away from school that time as well.
Good.
But yeah, I do enjoy. I don't think I have the physical. I'm not physically capable of doing it for a very long time. But then I do enjoy it, because I think there's something really interesting about just like shutting your phone off and just like staying there in the farm, in the field. Because even recently when we went to Pemakatsala, I did help out a little bit with the whole proceedings that were going on over there, and it was nice to just like go with my cousins like into the woods, collect stuff, you know, and then get things ready. And it's an interesting experience to like just shut your brain off, shut the world off, and just
different
like, be
space, right?
Yeah,
literally.
It's an interesting space.
Oh, what is your favorite vegetable?
Vegetable.
I know what you're thinking.
Stephen
I
Hawking.
know a lot of I love different vegetables for different reasons.
Okay, please, let's hear
But
it.
in my choice, like if I'm given a choice,
Okay, if you cannot give one, you can tell us like five vegetables you can talk about.
Like broccoli,
Okay.
like very normal ones, like cauliflower, cabbage, stuffs like that.
Yes.
But I love all of them. But if I had to like choose something for life, I would be a fruitarian.
Fruitarian.
I would love to like choose fruits over vegetables in food.
Why so?
It's like why do we eat food? If we really look into why should we eat food, then it's a source of energy, and any source of energy on this planet actually comes from sun, right?
Okay.
And most of even the farming, this culture of growing food came from nature also.
All right. Okay.
And the fruit happens to be either we grow on the farm or it's from the nature, from the wild. They are like very close to the what do you call it? It's in the dimension. The whole food is at the higher, where it's very close to like where we can tap very directly. Where we don't have to spend energy to burn. Like for rice, we have to cook. We need additional energy, right?
Okay.
Like we need more resources to like burn this down. But if you consume food, it's instant. Like you can derive energy from this source. Like we are very close to the source of energy in a sense.
Fruit. Oh, have you been on a fruit diet?
For a long time.
Exclusively, yeah.
Yeah.
And how long was that stretch?
Oh, it like a few weeks now and then. I do that every day now.
Every 1 week stretch, just eating fruit, vanilla.
In the past, I did like maybe 3 weeks or
Just fruit
something like
every
that.
day.
Yeah. But I have a friend who's been fruitarian for 5 years now.
Oh, so what effects did you experience?
Oh, so the experience is like
Doesn't matter, difference.
physiologically, like we would lose a lot of our tiring energies, like muscle pains, like all this sort of thing. So we had to like when we eat any sort of a food or junk or whatever, our body metabolism has to process that, and it requires a lot of hormones, and there are a lot of toxicity byproducts which are not energy, which we have to remove through our exercise or some sort of I don't know,
physical
fasting
activity.
or sort of a thing like that. So that doesn't have to happen. So like we can feel very light, at the same time mentally we can feel very like elevated actually. Especially when I used to do fasting sometimes every month, and my culture is after my fasting I used to break with some honey, some water, and then go into fruit. And after that, it's like wow, like your whole body has this like, sort of a goosebump, and then it's literally vibrating actually.
How about the stool, the Gazumamila?
I was going to ask that.
How does the stool look like? Colorful.
It's always different. It's always different.
Always different.
So if you
Today
are
is strawberry.
if you're only eating apple in the apple season for like days out, days in, then your stool will float. Literally, you have to pour the whole bucket of water to flush down because it's so light. It's just the pills there.
But then the look is same. The shape is same.
No, it's just fruit.
The fruit comes out.
Yes.
Like how does it come out? Shape or form? Rolling is
Somewhere floating. So, but if you eat like guava, then you'll also get a little bit of constipation.
Yeah, I was about to.
Why?
Yeah, I used to get that.
It's very fibrous.
Tight, yeah.
Okay.
A lot of seeds. We can't just grind them with our teeth. So even they will be floating. Like something that doesn't really float or come out like raw is like strawberry and like including guava, not guava, avocado and all of that.
I love
I think it really gets smashed in metabolism. It comes out different.
And I think fruits are just generally more easy for your body to digest.
Yes.
So by the end of it, the end product, the waste material that comes out probably isn't much.
Yeah, not much at all. And the sleep pattern also changed actually.
Really?
Like normally if I still eat sometimes on occasions like animals, like meat. And my experience just right after the consumption of meat, any meat, is always same. I feel very heavy.
Yes.
I'll have a very deep unconscious sleep.
Okay, but
like
fruit,
longer time. But with fruits, like it's like 3 hours you sleep and then your body is like back to
recharge.
Yes.
Yeah.
Very easy.
Oh, that's good. So you're saying you don't need much sleep. You can
No.
energy no more.
Yes, like
Okay. Any now there's benefits. Any like other than not benefits? What's the word now? What's the word for it? What's the opposite word for benefits? My English is
Detriment.
Detriment. No, like
Side effects.
benefits. Side effects. No. Side effects to fruit diet. Gazumamila.
So the danger side of being a fruitarian in a country like ours is we do not get all the fruits.
True.
So we may be malnourished. Has to be very careful, And also
fruits are
it's
expensive, no?
Also, it's expensive.
Yeah.
Fruit does it have like protein, fat?
Of course.
Yes. Really?
Yes. So like avocado is literally fatter.
It's fat. But avocado isn't a fruit.
Yeah.
It is fruit. Yes.
Avocado is a fruit.
Yes, sir.
Oh, I don't know. I thought it was a
Vegetable.
Yeah,
No, it's fruit.
It's a fruit.
But cucumber is both vegetable and fruit, often in different regions.
we were talking about how strawberry isn't a berry last time.
Yeah, strawberry is not a berry. Neither is a watermelon. A watermelon and a banana are berries. It's a very interesting thing. I forgot why they are berries, but there is a reason for it.
Okay, then, but how about protein? Any fruits will get protein?
A lot of fruits have protein.
Like
most of them. Like most fruits with fiber should have protein.
Banana has fiber.
Potassium, protein. Yes, every fruit has protein, but the level
quantity is
either
less.
more or less.
Okay. But what about the sugar? Won't your body?
But then that's natural sugar.
Fruit always have like natural glucose. So sugar we intake has to like process inside and turn into glucose, right? But the fruits already have glucose.
So it doesn't have to break down.
No.
So it's good for body.
Yes.
It's not like the sugar that we take in our tea and all that. No, I think like even though it does enter, again our body has an easier time digesting natural sugars than it does when you
direct absorption.
Which is actually something that I've been trying really hard to do, is like cut how much sugar I take.
Yeah, I'm trying to cut sugar.
So usually I like when I'm drinking tea these days, I try to pour honey instead of sugar.
That's the alternative.
I use honey or try. The feeling that I have is candy, especially sour candies. Like I'm not a big fan of chocolate, but like you give me like sour candy, I love that stuff, but that's been the hardest to like completely cut out from my I love my sour candy.
Like your showers with your sour candy.
Why not?
But then the sugar is so difficult to like cut out from your body. Like the discipline you need to like to be able to like say no to certain things it's really difficult.
You just take baby steps. No? Like I'm trying. I've almost now. It's been 2 weeks. I have not had soda. So no Coca-Cola, no Pepsi, no like that. No sponsor, doesn't matter. Anyways.
Did you drink some yesterday though?
Huh?
Oh, you drank lassi yesterday.
Lassi, yeah. So like slowly I'm trying to cut one thing. But the sugar, like I think because it's I'm getting like kind of a dad bod right now before I turn 30. No, so the little belly is popping up. So I'm getting a little conscious about that. So I'm trying to be more conscious about my body and my diet.
Yeah.
So just trying to cut like small things.
I'm less concerned about how my body looks and more concerned about my blood pressure, cholesterol.
How's your BP? Is it high?
It's quite high. That's why like, for me, like I don't like you can actually be a little bulky and have normal blood pressure.
Maybe you cut red meat there.
Yeah, cosmetically I'm fine. Like I'm happy the way I look. I'm just really worried about my blood pressure and my cholesterol and my sugar levels, basically blood sugar levels. I have to get those checked because
Are you like pre-diabetic or?
I don't want to be that. Like I have members in my family who are diabetic.
Okay.
And
So it's
really
genetic.
yeah, not just genetic, but a lot of them sort of like lifestyle, because diabetes is also a lifestyle choice, right? And it's kind of sad to watch them, like, you know, when we're all like eating like thing, and then they're all like just sitting there, they have their own special meals, and then I never want to go into a point where I don't get to eat the food that I want to eat.
Okay.
So I'd rather like keep myself healthy so that when I get older I can still eat what I want to eat without like, you know,
the right
having
portion that you
problems.
want to enjoy.
Yeah, I think we don't take there's this cliche saying that you are what you eat, they say, and actually it is true, Lubin, I think.
And I'm a barnyard.
True. Partly true.
Because what you eat, it becomes like how you odor, your body smells, because like the behaviors in your body, everything comes from what you eat. Your personality also, like if you like spicy food, maybe that kind of person.
I love spicy food. But Farmer, but you don't exclusively just eat fruits and vegetables. I mean, you did mention you eat.
One time I was very strict vegetarian after I had my piggery and fishery project for a while.
After the beginning vegetarian,
then I just in the project handed over to my friends. Then I turned into vegetarian, and then I was really looking into what kind of food should we eat for this physical body, and then our mental body, which is this spiritual, the food for our soul. And that's where I encountered a lot of vegetables and fruits which are like magic,
So
literally magic.
Like which ones?
Like most fruits. And I also learned over the years, last 3-4 years, we should be able to twin ourselves in nature. Like we should eat apple in the apple season, right?
True.
Like orange in the orange season, right? It shouldn't be like packed or kept like refrigerated waiting for you year round. That doesn't really work.
My dad works on that principle. He never eats fruits which are out of season.
Yeah.
So in the season.
So whatever is in season, he'll eat that.
Okay.
But he refuses to eat
that's
anything which is out of season because he says you don't know what chemicals they've sprayed on it.
Okay. Just imagine that much back into the history of time when humans do not have these fields organized, farms, like that's how our body evolved, right? Only in the apple season, apples were there in the nature. They do not really keep it in the refrigerator or eat later, right? And our physiology works better when we are tuning ourselves with the timing as well. It's literally like a energy shift. When we also, it works well because every season has fruits, like major fruits. That's also like the energy of the food is also amplifying in the whole like cosmos or around our environment as well. So our body is already opening up to that, and when we introduce that, I think it's much more harmonious, easier for our body.
I suppose that's my dad would probably get along with you because my dad is somebody who eats a lot of fruits.
Oh, wow.
And it's since the time I can remember, because when we lived in Wangdi, my dad used to work in RNRRC. And
What's that stand for?
I forgot what it stood for. Royal Natural Kachinachi Center, something like that. But so he had this book on different fruits, and to this day my dad will always like buy fruits for himself. The sad part is in our family, besides my dad, other people, a lot of us don't eat so much fruits. But my dad, like if it's bananas, he'll eat bananas, peaches.
Yeah, man.
He even eats that weird fruit which makes my tongue itch. It's called ande. I don't like that, but my dad like happily eats it. Then he eats custard apples, which smell really bad, but he really likes those. And I think as a kid growing up, he really tried to like push like eating fruits onto me, because I remember as a kid he would always like, you know, whatever he eats he'd give me papaya. Even to this day, like when he's eating fruits, he will call us to him if he's with us, and then he'll be like, eat. And then even if we don't want to eat it, he'll be like, no, eat. And then he'll like force the he'll be like, eat this,
Some fruit
eat
forces
this,
you.
eat this. And then after all, and then I sort of told him, I was like, this is probably the reason why we don't eat fruits, because you forced us to eat it as kids. Now we don't like it anymore.
Oh yeah, it could happen also like that.
But in my household, my father he gives like fruit for dessert. Those are sort of fresh. You take apples and all. But recently, what my mom has told me is that fruit should be before a meal or something. I'm not sure if that's the right way, because it digests faster, first or something like that. Or what do you think? We're better fruit before meal or after meal?
I haven't really tried that because even last few years I have cut down on my rice. So like we are all rice addicts, right? In Bhutan we are all rice addicts. Most of our disease, health causes come from rice also.
Because of
Our
sugar.
economy,
Carbs.
well, the rice is not really giving the higher energy. So they were like esoterics. I'm sure you guys do believe in those things. Like at least we can talk about it.
I'm more than
There are a
happy
group
to
of
talk
people,
about
like
it.
there are a group of like section of society elsewhere in the world who believed in like energy centers, our major glands, like minor glands in our body system, like chakra they're called about in Hinduism or Vedic, right? So most of the food they only give energy for the first three centers, like glands. The first chakra, second chakra, third chakra, which is in our guts, right? And beyond that, when we go beyond that, like really connecting ourselves or harnessing energy from our vibration of the heart, from our throat, from our like much more higher glands, then we need food which is like has more direct access from the source, like sun. So fruits that way, like I think even in the future my observation will be more into experimenting with fruits than other food. And also it makes me feel good because as a farmer we'll end up like being like a slave of an economy. Like we constantly grow food that actually we don't need for the people's body, you know. And changing that stereotype would also be a little difficult, but we should be able to do that in our generation, I think. Like change the whole farming ecosystem in the country where people grow much more fruits and vegetables than just rice.
But the rice is like a staple meal. You can eat breakfast, lunch, dinner.
Tenzin actually has been watching this nutritionist, I think, who's been talking, like she follows this nutritionist, and she's been telling me that he's like our body needs carbs, and obviously rice is carbs, right?
Yes.
But it doesn't need it to the extent that we are believed, we are told that we need it. Instead, the most nutritionists tell you to have carbs, but minimize the amount you take, and instead increase your intake of vegetables and fruits, because that does way better apparently.
So distribute your carbs from vegetables and fruits rather than from rice.
No, as in like you can eat carbs, right? Like eat rice or anything that has carbs in it, but don't eat it to the extent that we are currently eating right now.
Like 3 balls with a little curry in my classic, like literally.
But I'm like that. I'll eat 3 bowls of rice with curry. That's him. Because the rice absorbs the flavor. No, so when I take one bite of gyawa, I need to have at least 3 spoons of rice.
That's a very. Did you just say you eat like full?
Our culture.
Rice. Just not culture, but it tastes good. I love rice.
But the ingrained culture that has also like given us the blueprint in our genes, like for a long time in the ancestor. I think that's how we are. We have such an attitude for our rice, you know, because most Philips that we know of, the way they see us eating rice, they get shocked, right?
Yes, sir.
Because we have this genetic,
and it's not just
like the chilies.
But then there's again this counter argument to this where. So I have this other cousin, and she and we usually talk a lot about these sort of things. So she also read. She was telling me that you should eat what your ancestors ate, because our obviously because our ancestors ate rice throughout, right? Our genetics have evolved to handle rice in a different way compared to how the genetics of people who've eaten something else have. So she was telling me that we shouldn't force ourselves to try diets and all which are from other countries, because then our genetic material has already evolved to deal with our own diet. So suddenly switching to something else could again cause a lot of problems later on. So like there's there are these various diets,
It's true.
these keto diets and these like juice fasting or whatever sort of diets, right? So again, I don't know, but of course that's just one theory. There are so many theories around it. But again, I'm kind of inclined to believe that, because obviously our genetic makeup comes from our ancestors, and whatever our ancestors experienced would have been experienced and survived would have been transferred down to us, right? So in a way, that sort of probably also explains why we love rice so much and chilies so much again.
Yeah, but I think if we want to change our life in certain ways, then the first thing to begin is like observing our food pattern and our sleep pattern.
True.
And like every day our thought patterns. And in that sense, if we can radically change and eliminate some of the food which is causing us the disease and the lifestyle disease or economic cost or whatever, like sort of a disruption, then we should be able to eliminate that and into something better, something that works for us.
True.
And then that will also allow us to have a new sort of like body hormones system which is going to be transcending and can also help our thought transformation as well. That's why most people who go into spiritual journey always do fasting. Like they really want to get to the crust of their core and see what happens to our senses, like when we do not have energy from outside, but they try to really experience the energy within. No.
So they're basically depriving themselves of external stimulants.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
They're going inside.
Oh, deep.
but it's also like but of course I think tend to agree to that. Like if we want to really fundamentally change a lot of things, then we have to go inside.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Because most of the time when we were very aware and looking at what we are doing on everyday basis, then we wake up thinking about, I need to go here, go there, meet this person, get this thing or get this money and go there to buy this stuff and then later come here to eat this. Like constantly we're getting into this.
We are keeping our brain busy. We're never really
just for the food.
Yeah.
We keep on consuming, right? Just for the food.
That's interesting.
We do not have time to think otherwise. Yeah.
Have you ever considered going down that spiritual route?
Yeah.
Have you tried like?
I tried a lot of rabbit holes, like rat holes. I didn't fit in yet.
Okay.
I think this for me as a modern human should only be a lifelong quest. There's no shortcut to it. It should take me my lifelong journey to transform from the person I am today to be a new person. Then I'm sure maybe my energy would be different. But for now I had to share my time with my daughter, with my old mother, and a lot of friends around,
You have a daughter?
Yeah.
I'm so sorry, this is the first time I'm hearing
father.
it. Oh, okay.
For the last 8 years I've been
How old is daughter?
She's now 9 years old.
9 years old. Studying in Thimpula?
No, she's studying in boarding this year in Utpel Paro.
Oh, in Paro. Oh, okay. Boarding at 9 years old?
Yeah, they have like kids from 6-7 years old.
That's good. I mean, I think boarding does some good. It makes your kids more independent at an earlier age.
Yes, but then again.
But then there are, of course, like certain things.
There's thing like, you need to be a mother and father should be present in the child's life for their upbringing. I heard some read study that they have to be right there in order to become full potential or some shit like that. No.
Well, there are a lot of like discussion revolving around like normal human being or like normal rules are always applied, but exceptions are always there anywhere.
Yes.
Like in the colony of ant, towards the end, when the whole rain really spoils the whole colony and they are about to be extinction, some of them will start flying. They'll have wings. Mutation will happen.
Okay.
So if we look into nature, like humans are amazing.
Yes.
Like we have brain, like we have thoughts, and every animal even have the potential to survive and do something extraordinary in their own sense. And I think humans, no matter what, we have the seed to attain
Develop.
our highest potential, I believe. But there are a lot of discussion, like you're saying, we need to have both parents, and just like the sugar or the diet discussion, everything is like both sides, like day and night sort of a thing. But I believe, I also believe that there's nothing called right and wrong. I believe there's right and left, right?
Yes, sir.
I believe there's day and night. There's no dark and light. Yeah.
There's grey.
Yeah. In
Yeah,
between.
Yes.
there are a lot of grays.
Yeah, of course,
Space
everything
in
is
between.
grey. What is something which you can say is objectively wrong?
Objectively wrong.
Yeah, objectively wrong.
My life. I don't know. There are certain things which are objectively.
Is racism subjectively right?
I believe objectively wrong would be that when people tell me that the Earth is flat, that is objectively wrong. Because there are people who say that the Earth is flat, right? And to me, I'm like, no, that is objectively wrong.
Oh, any follow-ups to that? Do you feel the Earth is any shape, or that you can perceive it, or do you think it is round, or is it flat?
Well, so some things are like he is saying, some things are fundamental to our understanding.
Yes.
So whole considering flat is, I think, fundamentally we are living in denial.
Okay.
So that should be objectively like.
That's one thing.
Yeah.
Okay. How about gender? Now,
Also,
these days the gender has become very fluid. It's like Bruce Lee, it's like water. It can become a cup. It can become a box. It can become anything.
it's like becoming.
Constantly changing now. Gender now in recent 21st century. What do you feel about gender now?
So all this kind of duality, I would say there's a dual nature to it, right? And that also comes from our the cosmos, and like even on our planetary system, we have the South Pole and the North Pole, which is like entirely different.
Yes.
And that kind of phenomena exists, and that's also where it's coming into our gender. Like some are like man, they have a different role. Some is like women, they have a different role. But in between, anything can happen. Yeah, in nature, if you look at some plants are hermaphrodite.
Okay.
So they have both male and female reproductive system. They can actually independently go through it. I think much of it attributes come from our evolutionary process and the cosmic microwave, which is playing in between, I believe, which still don't have idea. We attribute that to being an invisible god or whatever.
Yes.
But this phenomenon does exist, and we should be able to objectively understand it, I think, maybe.
Okay. Well, that's, I think, well put in the scientific kind of form. Also philosophical.
Very spiritual.
Very spiritual. Yes. How about there's something about so in this community of trans people, there's something called transracial, where a person will identify themselves as another race. For example, there's a woman in America. She's quite famous. She was hiding herself, not hiding. I would say she was identifying herself as a black woman, but she was born white with red hair. But she identified herself as African American, transracial, and she had afro hair and very dark skin. She wanted to live in that persona.
Wow.
So what do you think about that?
Well, I like the moment I hear such a story, it gives me this wow feeling. It's like totally transcending at the mind level.
Yes,
mind level. But
yes.
biologically, like you already described it,
Yes.
right? But I also believe that fundamental to all our existence, including my life, is this substance. They also call it God particle. They also call it consciousness. They also call it Jesus energy or whatever.
Yes.
So when you talk at the very scientific level, I think it's energy. We can relate to more, right? How we are put into perspective. Fundamental is that.
Yes.
And beyond that, we see all these forms and the existence, including ourselves, through dualism. Like there's always reference. Our mind understands through a reference with some other things, both in nature or within our own being. And beyond that, everything else is illusion. It's our mind. It's a mind concept, right?
Yes.
And there are some stories from the past where if you are able to think something exists without it's not there, it may exist over a time, right? Like I want to make a tea right now. It only exists in my mind, but it can happen. I can manifest it here. And but the cases like you are describing is totally... It's mind-bending if she can actually transform herself into becoming every day, like, I don't know, reverse engineering happening within her and become a person she claims. Until there is a mental concept.
Okay.
So this question is also like, are you an open person or are you generally not? So if we are an open person, we could say, why not, right?
But then this story reminds me of that other woman. She could see well,
Oh yes, yeah. This.
but she said that she identifies as somebody who can't see,
Wow.
and she poured chemicals into her own eyes and blinded herself
There's a
because she
mental-
wanted to.
Yeah, there's a mental
body
disease.
dysmorphia.
A body dysmorphia.
Wow.
And then the few people who think they go around in a wheelchair, saying that I
Physically,
even though physically my legs are fine, mentally I believe that my legs are not capable of walking, and I am very comfortable living my life in a wheelchair and try to identify
So
myself
cool, man.
that my legs are not capable of walking.
but I think that goes back to how I says that it's all in your mind, no?
Yeah.
At one point, it exists in your mind,
Yeah.
and then later on,
When
if you
believe enough.
believe enough, then
Faith
you
can
move
move
forward
mountains,
to
Yeah.
because like for that woman, for example. Of course, by no means am I condoning that behavior. I'm not saying that because you identify as a visually impaired person, you should go and blind yourself. I don't. My personal take is that that's a little scary. But then, if you look at it from O's point, what O says, then to her, in her mind, she is a visually impaired person. So then she brought that to existence by actually blinding herself, right? Like
Yeah.
she manifested that.
She did manifest that that thought she had in her head.
How are you guys? Like, are you guys generally happy? How do you guys?
I'm a very
Explain
cheerful
your-
person by
Yeah, I think generally a happy person.
Wow.
We strive for contentment, which is a more realistic lifestyle.
My wife has a
person,
hard time
that's
with me
it.
because as soon as I wake up, I'll be like in the most chirpy mood.
Wow.
And she gets really irritated sometimes because I'll get up in the morning in the bathroom, I'll be
Understand.
like singing, and then I'll be like singing to her, and she'll be like, "Can you just shut up for a while?"
Oh.
Like my brain hasn't like woken up fully to like
elevate right
whereas
now.
me, I'm just like I tend to be extremely chirpy,
Wow.
but I wouldn't say that I wouldn't say that I'm the scary happy.
The scary happy or what?
There are those really scary
Melancholic,
happy,
like
Bipolar people.
No, scary.
like scary people, like
Bipolar people.
No, not bipolar also. But people who are so happy that it starts scaring you because they don't seem to be in tune with reality at that point.
Oh, so you're one of them. You're not one of them.
I'm not one of that.
Okay.
I know to be happy, but at the same time, I know when things go bad that the reality of the situation is right now this is going bad, and I need to focus on this and work on it and not, but then there are some people who are like so happy that they never. I feel like they're not in tune with the reality of the situation sometimes.
Yeah.
But happiness is a fleeting moment, just like sadness, impermanent. No,
it's-
that's why you don't strive. I don't want to be happy all the time because it's a small moment which is a bliss. You keep trying to imagine if you let's say you reach the highest happiness point of your life. Okay, after that day, every day is going to be not as happy as that moment, and you'll keep searching for that high.
But then that's again you're talking. But then that means that you're forcing yourself to be happy in that state. Like I don't believe you should force yourself to be happy. I think there are some people, like I said, those scary happy people who force themselves to be happy.
Oh yeah.
I've never forced myself to be happy. It's just that by need, like I tend to be a very jovial person from the moment I get up. And I enjoy it. But then, like I said, again, if I'm sad, I will not force myself to be happy. I will sit in that sadness and
wallow in it.
not wallow in it. I'll try to understand what's causing this sadness.
Okay.
And then, but then again, you don't. I feel like if you don't like give yourself the experience of experiencing all your emotions and sensations, there's something wrong because there are people who, when they get angry, they don't want to come out and they don't want to think about why they're angry.
Yeah.
And
They're constantly angry.
Yeah, they're
now
constantly
they're
angry after that. And sometimes I think it's nice to like just be able to like
Yeah.
sit in that anger and be like, why am I angry?
So
Like,
cool.
Why like, and it's the same with when I have anxiety because I get bad panic attacks, and it especially happens at night.
Okay.
So when I get my panic attacks, my immediate thing is to start thinking that this is just a temporary thing that's happening. Yes, I feel very paranoid and scared at this moment, but if I take deep breaths, if I calm myself down, this feeling goes away, you know. So I think it's really important for people to be able to like sit in that feeling and sometimes just experience that feeling rather than be scared of it and like, try as their best to like not think about that feeling. I think that
Can't
does,
avoid it.
right? I think avoiding that feeling does more damage than
a temporary solution. But
avoiding
avoiding
avoiding the happiness itself. You're saying?
No, I'm not saying I'm avoiding happiness. I'm just saying if I strive to be happy, like Ili might say, I think that happiness is not, it won't happen. It won't stay there forever. So thinking about that happiness, that one happy moment you did something, and you keep trying to get that happiness back, I think it's going to lead to a lot of disappointing feeling. So I think contentment is beautiful. You're neither extremely happy nor extremely sad or angry. You're just content with whatever is happening. And I think that is a more realistic look to life. That is how I look at it.
I would agree with that. And then, like for me, like personally, I can't stand people who keep telling me, "Oh, look on the positive side." Because I'm like, don't tell me to look at the positive side because you're distracting me from the reality of my situation right now. First, let me focus on the reality of my situation. Because, there are people like when you're like a little depressed, not depressed, I don't want to use the word depressed. When you're a little down. When you're a little down and then, you just tell them, and rather than, sometimes it's just good to listen to somebody without having to give them like input. And sometimes that's what most people need when you're feeling sad or down. They just need you to listen to what they're going through.
Normally, yeah.
And they don't need you to like... And I've been guilty of that. I've
already full, right? You can't throw anything.
Yeah, I've already done that. I've done that too. Like when friends have been telling me things that bring them down, I try to like give them my opinion about it. And then now I've sort of realized that it's better to just shut up and listen because this person is trying to get
but then
out
again,
deep listening.
When you're having a bad day and then... I don't know if it's my personal experience, like if you're having a bad day, if I think about it's not so bad, there are people who live like this which is worse, it tends to make you feel a little better, man.
Of course, our mind can do that.
Our mind can do that, but like you think like, I don't have money to go out tonight, but then again there are people who are starving who don't have food, and I'm like, I feel a little better now, I'm not like them. So, you feel like that sometimes. So try to, I don't know, but I think
but then see, that's what you're sitting with that emotion in there. No, you're not trying to divert your attention away from it. You're sitting with it and you're telling yourself these things. You're letting yourself experience that emotion. But then, like I said, there are people who don't do that. I don't think so.
Yeah.
There aren't people who sit with their emotions and wonder why they feel this way sometimes.
But in most of the culture of meditation is to really sit and
be aware of yourself.
Experience it, that awareness of like what's just going through in our feeling. They also say in Vedic beliefs, like Vedic science, esoterics, they believe that feelings are like a key to our body and thoughts are like key to our mind. The moment we thought about something, we can even like literally operate different part of our brain, when you're thinking about sex and thinking about food or thinking about some creative idea or a visualization, they are in different part of our mind. But they are thoughts. It's like bubble, we can literally change our thoughts and operate our different part of mind. So literally same with our body. They are saying our feelings, our sensations, they emanate from different glands, different like organs in our body. And when we have a chance to really sit ourselves, sink our mind into our body and really try to see like where it's coming from, why it's coming from, and what it means to me, then we can self-regulate that through certain breathing exercises or like listening to certain like a non-concept sound or something like that. They believe that very much, I think.
I would agree with that. I think whenever I tell people, like, I think for a lot of Bhutanese, the word meditation has sort of, meditation left, most people immediately go to like sitting there and like reciting prayer,
Yeah.
But then now I've sort of realized, I've realized that meditation is, you don't even have to be in a particular room. You don't even have to be in your own house. Sometimes, like I actually recently had this. So I had to wait for Jimmy Noko.
Yes.
So I had to wait for him, and it's really weird what I did, and I found it weird, but at the same time I found it very interesting because you know where Thimpu Plaza is, right?
Yes.
I was waiting for Noko and he didn't show up for like maybe 30 or 40 minutes.
Okay.
So I just sat there on the street, right? And I was just looking at the cars passing. And in my head, I was just like thinking about stuff. And I thought that's something it's interesting to just sit there and like see everything around you.
Beautiful.
And just letting your mind like not wander all over the place, but like to just sit there and like accept it. And it's a very calming feeling.
Yes,
like,
yes. I would agree.
Like you see so many people in a rush, right? And I was just sitting there, like right there in the middle of the street, and just like looking at cars pass by. And then I was telling Noko about it, and he was like, "Oh, you had an enlightening moment." He was fucking with me, of course. but I wouldn't say it was an enlightening
Which
moment.
is true, actually. You were experiencing a part of it, maybe a glimpse of it.
It was nice to just sit and like not be bothered about stuff, just like see things happening and see things moving
That's just
forward.
basically being mindful. Because my mother is she's a good practitioner. She always tells me like, meditation is basically watching your thought and seeing where it goes. Your mind will go to the mountains and come back. No, but if you forget about it, like right now, let's say we're thinking. I mean, like, oh, we're talking about a cup now. How did you get to the cup? You forgot, no. But if you watch your thoughts, like, okay, right now I'm thinking about my hands rubbing in here. Now I'm with these hands, I'm crossing my arms.
The sensation
I'm
feeling.
looking at you. Then actually now we're observing where our thought is going. No, we're following our thought. So that's what I feel like. What you might have experienced, like you sat there and you're observing everything, and you're watching what you're observing. No, so you observe your mind, So that I feel like what meditation is, and you can do that in different forms. Whether you're practicing on your breath,
that kind of
or
makes
while
sense.
you're driving, or when you're cooking, because you feel quite like you're focused on that. No, rather than like your mind going
like
everywhere. Going everywhere, then you feel like anxious.
Like,
while that's when you're focusing on one single
my
thing.
moment of zen at home is washing dishes. Something about just
Awesome, man.
like just sitting and like that's why my like Tenzin knows that I love seeing a lot of dirty dishes, because that to me is like
So lucky.
like to me it's like that means like that's the moment where I can sing,
meditate.
where I don't like, or if I'm not singing, then I can just look at the plates and I can like see where my thoughts are going, because it's not a very like it's not a task that requires you to be super focused, right?
Yeah.
Soak the plate, rinse it, put it in the spot. Like it's a routine, right? It's a robotic muscle memory thing. So during those moments, I really enjoy it. Like I like to be in the kitchen.
But then again, you are escaping
Yes.
from reality in that moment of time. You're I know what you do. You'll play a podcast, you'll wash your dishes, you'll start singing, you play music. No, so you try to avoid yourself from everything in that moment.
That's interesting. But can I invite a different insight that I encountered in the last few months?
Yes,
So the science of meditation, the science of mind, and the art of mind, art of meditation. So there are a lot of different jargons and language that we really don't understand how parallel they are. But in essence, they try to understand, like Buddhist monks who are going through like deep meditation, what's happening to their fucking brain, right? And try to really understand what does it mean in terms of science, like how should we understand the neuropsychology of a person.
Yes.
Right,
Okay.
and they learn there's something called the flow science. Now they call it flow science. So flow is both esoteric language, like spiritual people can use it. Like you have to be in the flow, right? Like Taoism really talking about being in the flow, and then it's also a science. That's where our body energy, our mental energy, and the energy beyond us, within us. All of that, they are in harmony, they are in sync.
Okay.
That's where the feeling of this flow happens. That's where when you were watching the traffic, you were into that flow state. Maybe you are just getting a glimpse of it.
It's interesting you mentioned this, because I recently watched this movie in Disney, a Disney movie called Soul, and there they actually mentioned this state where a lot of artists,
Yes,
people,
always.
they go through this flow,
Yes.
like even people who play music, right? Sometimes you look at them, you can see like they're in that trance-like state where
Yes,
they're just
sir.
letting the music thing, and apparently that is also called, that is when you say you're
Yeah.
in flow, no?
Yeah, in chi,
So it's
you know.
interesting again. Like,
So for me, when I do farming, that often happens to me. Like I will forget to eat my lunch, and I'll forget like how fast like time dilates.
Yes,
Literally,
I agree.
your mind is not on a time how it's spending,
Yes.
and the next moment is not
Yes.
there. You're really driven to the thing.
Yes, there's a research
And-
paper also I read like that.
Yeah.
Somewhere. It's called flow, state of
Yes,
flow.
yes.
So when you're something so deep into that flow, like even when
Yeah.
I'm in the office,
So painting is same.
listening to music and I'm doing some work.
Yes.
Then after like a few 5 minutes of like little like your mind
and
is
you
off,
don't
then
see it
you're
as
so-
work, no.
You're so
Not at
synced
all.
in, no, that you're working, your state of flow. Then after like 1 hour you passes by, it feels literally like a moment, no, because
And
you're
the-
so into that
Entrenched, yeah.
entrenched in that moment.
So I think that's with me and my dishes.
Yeah.
Awesome,
Because
man. Awesome. We all
every
should
morning
have
I
that,
just
man.
do that. Like
Yeah,
every
sure.
morning that's my moment where I just like I get really thing like when I go for like, of course the thing is I will not wash other people's houses now. I will not go and wash their
Sure,
dishes because I'm like
Yeah,
I don't want to.
So
do
it has
that.
to be like over a time. The ritual for a modern human has to be like how they can on will open their flow state and get into it. It could be meditation, could be reciting mantra or anything.
Yes, sir.
But all of us needs to go through this state of flow. But also to relate back and bring back our discussion on the food, the diets we were saying.
Yes, sir.
So I learned that the yogis, they have a yogic diet, right?
Okay.
There's also a lot of fruit and then like ghee and
Plants. Certain
plants and
plants.
herbs and all of that. And they are saying that most of the energy we get from the food that we eat today, they are in resonance with the morphic energy, which is like the gravity around our planet, right?
Yes, sir.
Is the energy on this star dust, like our planet.
Yes, sir.
But our higher chakras, our higher energy centers, like our heart, our thoughts, our mind, and much more, they actually entangle and has correlation to all these microcosm, like particles that we cannot see right now. It's beyond the light wave, and they're like micro black energy or whatever. So that is where the flow states normally happens. When our thought, our heart feeling, when these two vibrations are in sync, then we are already opening that vortex of energy, and we're fully into that. It's like being at the edge of like non-ending black hole vortex,
Yes, sir.
where you know that you are there, but you have no control over, and constantly you do is keep experiencing. You let it like, okay, whatever. Sort of a
But then
thing like that.
I have one friend. He does chakra reading, and then I was checking. He was telling me like certain part of my chakra from here is not there. So I think the more something you do, then your chakras will align, and that's when you become the best version of your
Ourselves.
Yes, sir.
If you
Best of ourselves.
it's kind of if you want to learn I think there's 7 chakra points.
Yeah,
right?
major.
The major chakra points, there are 7. So there's actually a cartoon which explained the 7 chakra points so well.
Yeah.
It's in Avatar: The Last Airbender,
Ah.
season 2. They
Yeah,
did
awesome.
such an amazing job
For
of
kids.
explaining the 7 chakra points and how you open them. And
You
how
won't
to
believe.
thing.
Now you bought that. My daughter just literally went into deep zone. She was watching that, then towards the end like, and then I woke her up because we had the next movie lined up, and she's saying, "Papa, I don't know how I lost my mind. I just went to the wood." She's saying.
Interesting. I
The
think
kids have no bias, no. So whatever is being told, it's like really coming from the subconscious. Maybe they're tapping into it. I don't know. But anyway, I interrupted there.
no. It's I think children for all the shit that I give little children.
You do that?
I keep telling people that I have a time limit with children. Like for the first 10 minutes I'm happiest with children. Then after those 10 minutes I don't want to be around children
So it declines.
because
Or
it starts to
vanishes.
it starts diminishing after that to me, because then again it's not even the child's fault because children are naturally curious. But then it's just that I don't have the patience to deal with that curiosity anymore. But yeah, like I find it interesting because a lot of some kids ask the most profound questions.
Like what?
Like
Why is the sky blue?
like my nephew asked me to explain death to him,
Oh, cool.
and he was like 5 years old when he did that. And I'm looking at my nephew, and I was like, how do I explain death to him? Because as it is, and this is the point, like this is like many years ago when I would not want to think about death. But nowadays, like when I go to bed, the last thing that
Why
I think
not?
about is my death, as well as the death of people that I
Every
love.
day?
Every night. I do that every night.
Why?
It's just something that's going to happen inevitably, and
Of
it's
course,
a way to
yeah.
prepare myself.
Yeah.
Because in
How?
2019, when my grandmother died,
Okay.
when my dad's mom passed away,
Yes.
that whole year I had a horrible anxiety because I kept thinking about death, and it kept making me I got panicky, I got paranoid. I kept thinking about what was the point of all this, because I was
Existential
going
crisis?
Yeah, I started getting all of that, and I sort of in 2020 when the pandemic happened, that again kicked it in, because I was like, oh great, now we've got a virus that's going to that can easily kill us, and I'm an asthmatic. If I get it, then that's it, like I'm dead. And again, that sort of propelled my anxiety. But then
How do you overcome those kind of situations?
Washing plates.
Yeah, that does do it. But one thing that I realized was when I go to bed at night, I've told myself that no matter how scary this thought is, confront it. Like, think about it. Why are you scared of it? And I do it every night, and every night it gives me this like small dread, but it's not as big as it was like 2 years ago.
Oh, okay.
And it's kind of silly because I was telling myself that I'm scared of something that is going to happen. Like, why am I getting scared of it? Because it is going to happen. And it's not that when I die, I'm the only person who's going to die and everyone else is still going to be alive. Everyone else is eventually going to die as well.
Yes.
And
except your songs.
Hopefully. Those also are going to be those also will eventually fade.
How will they fade? They'll be in the
They're
cloud,
in the cloud,
forever.
man.
Just like how this episode will forever exist.
This will fade eventually.
But forever it will exist.
Yes, but in a billion years when the planet goes boom, nothing.
If the planet goes boom.
Of course, if you are saying nothing is eternal, then it's
yes.
true.
For me,
That's true. It's true.
So no, but
Very
just staying in that thought of, like, I'm going to die, my mom and dad are going to die,
yes,
then the high likelihood that my parents are going to, it's highly likely that my parents are going to die before I die.
Okay.
And so I'm trying to give myself that.
What?
It's like just keeping yourself like mentally prepared for these things, Of course, you're not ever 100% prepared, but I think being even like 20% prepared to deal with death of loved ones, it's much better than like
it's true.
Like experiencing it when it actually happens.
Do you believe in the afterlife?
Not really.
Then what's there to worry about then? I'm afraid of the afterlife.
Do you believe in
yes,
afterlife?
Yes, I believe in afterlife.
No, do you know why?
Reincarnation, being in Bordeaux for 49 days, lost.
My fear is
wandering soul.
My fear isn't because there's no afterlife or anything.
Afterlife.
Because
afterlife. Yes.
Yeah, it's not that because I believe there's no afterlife. It's more to do with how it's going to be hard to explain, but it's more to do with how an entire life can just go
in a moment, yeah.
Like in that one moment, gone.
Some sort of.
And that's what makes me scared more.
Yes.
Can I share a metaphor that I was having conversation yesterday? So somebody asked me, like, you guys in the village, when we were like winnowing our rice,
yes,
right? We used to do like in the bamboo, like pichap sort of a thing. We say, and the guy is saying, does the wind come when you blow whistle, or it's just a metaphor?
Right.
So I was saying, I did not have any like a convincing answer even to myself for that. But I guess I will have a very imaginative like sort of a quest to explain that. So I was telling him, it's an act, it's like a karma, it's like our life. When all the conditions are right, we were born. Like when our mom and dad, they decided one night, or somehow unmindfully it happened, right? The conditions were right.
Yes.
So when we were doing this winnowing,
yes,
we are having, the first belief is when we do that, the wind blows. The person has to embody that belief so much. It's beyond like deeper faith, They have to do it believing it. And when you, that's where we are vibrating the air, the vibrating air around, and maybe it's the frequency is much beyond the current dimension right now, and it's creating certain whirlpool in the whole, I don't know, in the air, and then it allows the whole, maybe the black hole to exist, and then that's where, like we are blowing inside, right? It's like, it's not going anywhere, but the sound is being created, right? So we are moving the particle of the air to generate wind. Should be scientifically explainable, actually, just like the death itself.
I don't really know too much about that, but it's just that for me now I've kind of realized that it's better to like think about death on a daily basis.
But do you believe in tomorrow? There exists tomorrow?
If I wake up the next day, yes.
No, how about tomorrow? No, you don't know what will happen. Whether you'll be waking up in your bed or the next life.
No, that's why it's important to be grateful also, I suppose.
Yeah.
Like I started doing this.
It's a parallel question to what do we think about death? Yeah. It's like we're talking about tomorrow, right? Or the next moment. It's almost the same.
Yes.
I started doing this thing. I do it when I remember. I never force myself to do it. Because again, when you force yourself, I feel that when you force yourself to do it, you stress yourself out.
To remember about death?
No. Remembering about death naturally happens because usually when I'm in bed, my brain...
Yeah, muscle memory now.
Yeah.
You're doing it every day, habitual pattern.
But like one thing that I try to do is always like when I do remember to tell myself what I'm grateful for. Like 10 things that I'm grateful for. Think about it. Grateful for my parents, grateful for being able to do what I want to do and all that sort of stuff.
Yes.
And I think that's one reason that I started thinking so much about death was my grandparents on my dad's side. Every time I met them, like the last few years that I met them before they passed away, I was so surprised by how accepting they were of death. Because each time I spoke to them and I was the same thing, they'd always say, we are old, we're going to die. We are old, we're going to die. We are old, we're going to die. And I realized then that when I feel that they were already sort of like
coming to terms.
Letting go.
Yeah, letting go, prepared to
term with that.
let go of them. I don't know if that's what they felt. I'm not trying to put words into their mouth. But to me, it felt like that. Like they had already prepared themselves that their existence was coming to an end, their life was coming to an end. And I feel that it's, to me personally, like to think about death shouldn't be something scary. And I don't know how many people actually do think about death, their own death particularly.
I've had one moment where I was quite high and I thought about death. It just came to me. And I had almost a panic attack because I was so scared. But then I went deeper. I said, why am I scared? I said, I have so many things I want to do in life and so many things I want to experience. And I feel like if I died right now,
I think that's another fear that we have, no?
Like missing out, FOMO.
That you won't get to do what you want to do.
Yeah,
but then that's the thing. Life isn't fair. It's just life.
So
it's not fair or unfair. It's just
life.
It's just going through the motions with it.
So that's
like I said, there's no black or white. It's just a grey.
Yeah. So that's just what scares me about death. But then I feel like if I do the things which I want to do in my life and make other people, it leaves a lasting influence. So even though when I die, some things that I have done in my lifetime might have influenced some other people or something, then I'll feel like I'll be like more accepted of death. But if I'm like, I know, hanging from a rock right now, I'll be like, I don't want to die. I haven't done PSY-POD number 21 yet. Something like that. So that's
and
how
since you're somebody who believes in the afterlife, you might have a bakcha.
Yeah.
You could leave something.
Bakcha or something.
But I think death for me is something very profound. Like there are many rishis in the past, people who were contemplating what's there after this. They came to realize like they could delve more into our energy field and be awake and understand what's there beyond this body. And even in the death, there's a biological death, there's a
spiritual
the whole
death.
energy transfer into a new state. And many people who do believe and practice like esotericism and sort of pursuing aggressively enlightenment, they do talk a lot about death as a source of inspiration, source of a creative field where we can tap our consciousness to bring out something which is very valuable that nobody knew. And that's also where I said that consciousness at the end is fundamental to all of it. And right now, maybe we are awake, we are drinking tea, we're having this conversation, like three of us literally we're talking mind, our mind, which is beyond us, we are adjoining all of this conversation and very abstract, but we could be very unconscious. We are tapping into something which is already known, right? Camera, the light, the conversation, the talks we are saying. But we may not be tapping into something which is unknown,
which you cannot understand yet,
which could be very new. And death, sometimes I think it inspired people to go beyond this time and tap into wisdom, which may be able to transform our life when we're living, I think.
Just like I feel like...
But afterlife, as discussed by our part of the region, the humanity, they are very dystopian worldview though. Isn't that?
Yes,
It's like a cartoon movie I wouldn't enjoy so much.
But that's what's crazy about death, because it's an open-ended answer. No one has the right answer. Just like,
no idea.
Like why are most people afraid of the dark?
But for me, I also relate like death event more like a concept of black hole, where now we are sure through science that there's something beyond it, but we're not sure.
Yes.
Just like the science say that energy can't be created, can't be destroyed. It's always there. It's just constant. Like when you throw out every day positivity, positive vibe, good words in the world, it doesn't just dissolve and decay or die away. Every day when you do it, it amplifies us. Like wherever we go, we find that energy that we have thrown in the past. So I believe that the energy can go through transformation, and after death, there is an event that we don't know yet right now.
Yeah, which we cannot understand and not comprehend.
And I don't think I don't think it needs to be understood or comprehended.
It
Also,
has to be mystery.
I think
I'm a curious person. I'll always ask questions.
no, but I think it's good to ask questions, but I think it's good to accept that sometimes the answer is unknown.
Yeah.
Okay, I can understand. It's not like I'm stubborn and I have to know what happens after today.
And we have to embody courage to like accept.
That's why there's this saying, that you should take a scientist seriously.
Mm-hmm.
You should consider a scientist an actual scientist when you ask him a question and he says, I don't know. Because a scientist who says, I don't know, is somebody who is willing to accept that there are certain things that even they are not capable of understanding. And you should never believe a scientist who tries to like ham fist an answer out of something.
Yeah.
Like sometimes when a scientist
Hand fist an answer.
Ham fist.
Ham fist.
Like
Okay.
Good. It's true.
It's better. You should always like take a or a person who says I don't know.
Space for imagination.
Yes, because they understand that there are certain things that we cannot understand, and that's fine. Rather than somebody who, like I said, who tries to force an answer out of it.
So what are you guys doing for
what?
Like the future or a life, or are you guys working on some mission in life, or how do you guys define meaning?
Meaning in life, yeah.
Like these are things that I also dwell a lot.
Yes. I also dwell a lot in that.
Throw that too.
Yes, so Kile, why don't you spread some of your...
I just, for as long as I can remember, ever since I was a kid, I knew that I always wanted to do what I wanted to do.
Which is what?
Which is whatever I wanted to do.
Including this one, I'm
including,
sure.
I don't mind.
Podcast.
I loved doing radio, and I knew I wanted to do radio when I was in high school. I wanted to try it. I wanted to do sketch comedy. I'm doing that now. And I wanted, it depends on what my interests were. And the interests that have really lasted the longest is my love for music. And that sort of went there.
Okay.
My love for comedy and my love for broadcast.
Yes.
So my purpose is, I think, just to do what I want to do and not be, and as far as possible, not living up to anyone else's expectations of who. I think when you try to live up to another person's thought of you, you do yourself a great disservice. And that's something that's very rampant in not just our country but in modern society, where people expect you to be a certain way. I think it's better, as long as you're not like being a pain to someone else's life and you're not causing anyone else harm. I think it's just like live your life the way you want to live it, and I think that's what I want to do.
So cool, man.
What was the question there? Sorry, I got lost. I was in transic movement. I was listening.
What was your purpose
in life? I think that question answer changes every day. But for the past few years, when I was, especially during my university years, I was like, I want to go back to Bhutan, but I want to. It's quite cliche, but you want to leave a lasting legacy after you die. So I said, what can I do, to leave a lasting legacy? So I said, obviously I'll pursue things which I enjoy. Like similarly to Kinle, I have also interest in comedy. That's how him and I actually get along, because we like comedy. So I make silly videos on Instagram, and I used to look at all these people who used to make videos on Instagram. I said, it's a great medium to share creativity. And I said, why don't I try it? And then if people like it, it's
why not?
Why not? So my goal was I always had a love for film. So I always said I want to make a movie in Bhutan. So that's always been my goal, and I like to talk about my goals, because then if I don't talk about it, I'll forget them. So this is my one goal. I'll always keep, for like the ultimate goal. And after that, I don't know what will happen. And other goals which came along the way was to do YouTube or a little bit of Instagram videos. And one goal was this podcast as well. It was when I was I was living in Japan, and I used to commute a lot, and I started listening to podcasts, and I was like, I love listening to people talk. And I think if I could ever, had an opportunity, I want to do it. So one day I was talking to Kinya. I said, there's no podcast in Bhutan. Or if there isn't, at least there's a known one. So I said, Kinle, I want to try this thing where I just bring in people, we just talk. There's no topics of God. So this was one of my goals which I wanted to do. And then luckily we went now in the 20th episode. We just out of one conversation I had one day with him. So some things which I still want to do, I have, but then ultimately another thing is, I watched one video on YouTube or something about a human library where you don't go read books.
Yeah.
So you go to and you meet somebody and you talk to them. And
Yeah.
you say, talk to me about your life. And I find that so interesting because you can hear,
Different experiences.
different outlooks in life, like O's look and how Kinley look. It's completely different, but it's so interesting to me, and I'm really intrigued by that. So by having this platform as a podcast, and I bring in every week somebody different, and I like to ask them about their life and how they view things. So I think it's a great outlook. And also when I hear people sometimes in the street who come to me and say, I like this, enjoying your podcast.
Cool,
So it feels like it's an influence. Somebody who might be out there who's interested in this but hasn't seen anything.
Life has been touched.
Then they'll be like, oh yeah, I came listen to a podcast, I enjoyed this, I heard somebody in your podcast, they really were enjoyable. So I like that kind of legacy. Even if it's not that much, it's a small thing. And if someone who came here and listened and they said, I hate it's terrible, it's a small influence.
It's still a legacy.
Still a legacy.
Isn't it?
So this is just ultimate goal of mine.
So cool. But you guys calling it like you want to talk nothing.
Yeah, it's about nothing.
Interesting. About nothing.
It's about
And here's
nothing.
the best part: nothing encompasses everything.
Yeah, I think it's about nothing.
There's both no and the thing.
Yes.
The thing itself is there.
Well, I think that's a good way to end this, isn't it?
Yeah, we've been talking about an hour and 15 minutes.
Wow, see, we're in trance. I did not even feel
We're in flow.
We were in the flow of the conversation. It didn't feel like 1 hour. But I think what a better way to end this podcast with the lasting thought of nothingness and everything.
Yeah.
Thank you all for coming. Kinley, you want to do the outro, please?
All right, thank you so much, our farmer Sangay. I don't know whether I want to call you our Sangay or our farmer, but
Anything.
Farmer Sangay, ladies and gentlemen.
Anything.
You can catch him at Mojo. Usually
That's
we're there
so,
on
that's so,
Mojo,
yes,
at
yes.
Mojo during the weekends.
Yeah.
Just go up to him, talk to him. He's a very interesting character to talk to, and his group of friends actually are very interesting. I mean, I think Auket Tatsering is also another interesting character, and definitely someone we will try to get back on the pod here as well. And yes, you can follow all of us on our various social medias. It's all in the description if Norla remembers to put it. And yeah, thank you so much for sticking around with us for 20 episodes.
Yeah.
It's been absolutely fun, and we want to keep going with
And
it.
please subscribe to Junior.
Yeah, please
Now
subscribe.
new goal, 5K subs.
5,000 subscribers. We're
Let's
going
go.
for 5,000 subscribers. And have a great week, and have a great winter as well, because it's getting colder now.
Yeah.
And New Year's is coming up, so something to look forward to, I suppose.
And then something else to think about tonight, death.
Oh yeah, death. Think about death.
Okay. Nothing happens for a reason. No one belongs anywhere.
Let's go watch TV.
We're all going to die.
Let's go watch some TV.
Well,
Thank you so
We're all going to die.
Thank you so much.